In the team tournament, the Ultimate Schmoedown Team Tournament 2018, the theme is anarchy.
Anarchy. Anarchy.
On today's show, Crazy Rich Asians dominates the box office once again. These two Star Wars alums are making a movie together that's not Star Wars. And speaking of Star Wars, boy, let's get upset about a movie we haven't seen. Movie Talk starts right now.
Want to talk about anarchy? I like getting mad about a movie you haven't seen before.
A lot of people getting bent out of shape. Don't really know what the deal is. Hello, everybody. The deal here is that it's called Movie Talk, and that's what we do here at Collider Movie Talk. I am Mark Ellis. Over there is John Rocha. In the middle is some youngster who we're going to give his first shot at Movie Talk, and that would be Dennis Tzeng, everybody.
Where am I? What is this place?
This is your big
what are we
back.
talking about here?
This is the show that made you.
Oh, what's a movie?
I'm the new guy. This is Movie Talk. We talk movie news stories. How do you feel about that, Dennis?
I don't think I've ever seen a movie before in my life.
This is, of course, Dennis Tzeng, the Vice President of Technology here at Collider.
Production.
What's your production? Yeah, technology. Close enough. You know, you swing, you miss, and then John Rocha is there to pick it all up and put a nice bow on it. Hope you gentlemen had a good weekend. Hope everybody out there had a great Labor Day weekend. If you worked yesterday, then thank you. I took an additional nap just for you. Our box office report kicks off this Tuesday, and that would be Crazy Rich Asians once again coming in at number 1 at the box office, followed by number 2, The Meg. That movie's still around. At number 3 was Mission Impossible Fallout. That movie is still around. At number 4 was Operation Finale, and coming to number 5 was Searching. Now, before we get to the big story, which I think is Crazy Rich Asians coming in again at number 1, it being the third movie to do that in 2018, number 1, 3 weeks in a row. That would be tying with Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, the early part of January, and then obviously Avengers Infinity War. Now, you look at what we have with Operation Finale and Searching. Both those films opened on less than 2,000 screens, yet managed to be top 5 movies. Impressive feats for sure, but Dennis, to me, the story, once again, Crazy Rich Asians. How do you look at the box office? Is it that film being number 1 again that speaks the most to you?
Yeah, definitely, because it's a movie that, you know, obviously I was rooting for, and I was hoping that it would do well. I didn't know it was going to do this well, because it's, I think, has the biggest box office take for a rom-com in like 9 years. I think it just beat a Trainwreck. And it's just one of those things that, yeah, I was hoping people would respond to it, but it seems like people are seeing it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems to be one of those movies that you can call it a cultural phenomenon if you want. And I know that you popped into Collider Live last week, and we were talking about the box office and what that means to so many people. Rocha, when you look at this movie now, this has to be a case of friends telling their friends, hey, this is a word-of-mouth movie. You need to go see this. If you weren't interested before, you should be interested now. Like Dennis said, one of the most popular romantic comedies since 2000 began.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're in the dog days of summer when stuff gets released and dumped and all that kind of jazz, so you don't expect it to make as much money as it's making. Even the director, John M. Chu, was like, I wanted it to make $100 million like by the end of its run. The fact that it did it so quickly is pretty incredible and amazing. And I do agree with you, Mark. I think it is word of mouth. I think it's people going multiple times, just like Black Panther. People going multiple times. I think it's irrelevant of race to a degree. It's about people wanting to see something fun and enjoyable in the summer. A lot of good word of mouth behind it, and so people are going to enjoy themselves and have a good time in theater, and they're going multiple times to laugh with their friends and share it with their family. So to me, this all speaks volumes. Now, when's our Crazy Rich Latinos? When is that going to happen? I mean, I want something going on for us as well. I like a love story. We can't have just La Bamba. You got to give us something else too. So I think overall, this 2018 is a watershed year for this. When you look at and I guess you can throw in Wonder Woman last year as well. When you track it from Wonder Woman to Black Panther to Crazy Rich Asians, it's just showing you that there are these groups that haven't been catered to exclusively, and now they're being catered to with higher production value, higher approaches to these films, and people are coming out to watch it and support it. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I think that Crazy Rich Asians is going to be around the top 5 of the box office for a little ways yet, but when we look at the release date of movies that are coming out this Friday, it's you think September and you think, okay, here come the Oscar movies. Not yet. We got to get The Nun out of the way. We got to get Predator out of the way. Those are both movies I'm really excited about. And I think The Nun is a clear-cut favorite to be number one at the box office. This is the kind of movie that has trailers that are scaring the crap out of people. They're getting so scared, they're complaining about this. So you think The Nun is the clear-cut number one this weekend, or you smell an upset?
Well, it's a third one in the series, right? The Nun.
I mean, there's a lot of Conjuring
It's a spin-off,
right?
Yeah.
Like Whoopi was in the first two. Who's?
Oh,
okay,
there it
come
is.
on,
There it
come
is.
on. Everyone's seen that meme online. It was
Back
really
in the
great.
habit.
Hey-oh. No, I love that. Have you seen that Whoopi as the Nun? It's
hysterical.
brilliant. But no, yeah, you're probably right. I mean, there's such a desire for horror, and people will go see this because of The Conjuring, because of the Nun, all that has come beforehand. So I think people will go and patronize the film more so than any other film coming out this week. But don't be surprised if Crazy Rich Asians, if people as a response to The Nun go back again to kind of protest and maintain it number one, because that's the power of the dollar. That's the power of the public when they can influence what you talk about on the box office breakdown stuff. That's a powerful thing that people want to keep pushing forward, agenda that they want to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and also it's just people who, like myself, feel underrepresented that want to go out. There are stories of actors and filmmakers and also wealthy Asian Americans that live around that have been buying out screenings so that people can go see them, and obviously it's resonating with them. I know, some people I even read on some of the comments where people didn't understand the difference between Asian films and Asian American films. So they were like, oh, well, this movie isn't really doing well overseas. Number one, comedies never do well overseas because it's just comedy is more localized.
We're not as funny as we think.
No, it's more localized, right? Your taste in comedy is usually from what your background is, what your experiences are. So just comedies in general don't travel overseas. And then number two, people in Asian countries, they've grown up their whole life watching movies with Asian peoples as the leads, where someone like myself who grew up in America did not. So it's a different thing. You can't compare the two.
It's a great point. Comedy may not travel all that well overseas. You know what does? Sharks. They're really good at swimming. And they can swim to any continent they want to make, continuing to crush like that, as does Tom Cruise. I'm not saying he's a shark, but I'm saying that he does do well overseas. And both those movies, The Meg and Mission Impossible Fallout, have seen a boon to their overall box office because of later releases than what we saw here in America in foreign markets, and seeing those numbers continue to rise. Pretty impressive what both those films have been able to do and maintain their momentum going into the fall.
Yeah, I'm very excited about Mission Impossible. Like the little engine that could keep steaming forward in the way that it's going to finally, hopefully, surpass Mission Impossible 2 as the highest domestic for that franchise. Because and Mission Impossible was terrible. It's the worst one of the franchise. It should not hold the name of being the film that is the highest domestic grosser for the Mission Impossible franchise. So I hope Fallout beats it, and then worldwide. Just got released in China, I think, and it broke the records for any of the Mission Impossible openings ever. So that's a good thing. And so hopefully it'll just keep lining up its coffers. It's around 600 million now worldwide. So it'll just keep going. And that's a positive overall. And sadly, we're going to get a Meg too. So I don't know what to do about all that, but there it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. That you're definitely going to get a sequel to the top 3 movies of the box office this week.
Yes.
You know there's another Mission Impossible coming. Probably another Meg that's going to be 80 feet now. And then obviously we had the announcement of the next Crazy Rich Asians film.
It's interesting about the Meg, where it's made more money than Star Wars Solo Story.
Oh yeah.
Like no one ever would have thought that would have happened.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. Another one though in that top 5 is Searching. I think Searching.
Yeah.
I saw it. I really enjoyed that movie. It's also another Asian American lead, but it's different because in this story, like. In Crazy Rich Asians, the culture is part of the story, where this is just, it happens to be an Asian American male lead. And I don't think, in the future, not every single movie that stars an Asian American has to be like about Asian American things. It's nice to have kind of that duality of both things.
Yeah, I was out of town this week, so I didn't get a chance to go to the movies at all. But I come into the studio this morning for Collider Live, and Wendy comes up to me. She's like, "Did you see Searching?" Because she thinks I'm going to love it, and I am very excited to see Searching. I was in Atlanta this week, and I'm proud to say that as of the news last week on Movie Talk, a great fan in Atlanta went to the Relapse Theater to come see the show. Ashley brought me a DVD copy of Big Trouble in Little China.
Hey-o.
So I have no excuse now to not watch it. Going to try to knock that one out while I'm at TIFF. While I should be seeing movies at the Toronto theaters, I can just be in the comfort of my own hotel room watching Big Trouble in Little China. And Rocha, just a fun note, the Hard Target banner that's still hanging in my boyhood room says, "We do not speak ill of John Woo on this show." I don't care how much you hate Mission Impossible 2. John Woo is a visionary.
I'll have you know, John Woo gave me my first break in film. I'm in the Wind Talkers movie. You see me 5 times as a glorified extra in that movie. So I love John Woo. I did 2 weeks of ADR on that. And I can still tell you Mission Impossible 2 was a terrible damn movie. But I love Hard Boiled, and I love The Killer. So his stuff from overseas is fantastic. I don't think he ever quite got it right on this side of the ocean.
One thing about that film, Wind Talkers, the spoonsmanship is impeccable. Move on to our next story, and that involves Rian Johnson. He's going to be making a movie with Daniel Craig. Now, you may know Rian Johnson as the filmmaker who did The Last Jedi. Before that, he did other great movies like Brick, and he did The Looper. And Daniel Craig, you may also know he was in a Star Wars movie. He played a stormtrooper in Force Awakens. He's also that James Bond guy that you may have heard of. These two are teaming up for a movie that's set to come out before we get Rian Johnson making that supposed Star Wars trilogy, or Daniel Craig being in James Bond 25, whatever they're going to call it. We know this one is called Knives Out, and it's a murder mystery thriller, and there's been a big bidding war for this, and will continue to ensue at the Toronto International Film Festival that's coming up later this week and into next week. Daniel Craig is going to be playing a detective assigned to solve the crime that is a contemporary murder mystery. Dennis, what's very interesting to me is that this project happens to come along. It's something that Rian Johnson had been writing this summer, and now he's got an open window to make it. All of a sudden, Daniel Craig is going to be available for the foreseeable future because they want to start shooting this in November, and we don't have a director for Bond 25 after Danny Boyle jumped off. So seems like these stars have aligned for these two gentlemen.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Rian Johnson will be pegged to direct Bond. But I'm excited for this. I'm a big Agatha Christie fan.
Yep.
I read a lot of her books when I was younger, and it seems like Rian Johnson was as well. And I know a lot of people, I like The Last Jedi. I don't hate it like some people, but aside from The Last Jedi, he has done some other really good movies. He did Brick. He did Looper. He did Brothers Bloom. And Brick is like a film noir mystery that is set in contemporary modern times. So I feel like he can do a very good job with this, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, Rocha, I read the story and I said, okay, well, we know we're getting a Bond 25. If not Daniel Craig's next movie, probably going to be the movie after that. Any more delays in that film, though, or we're still looking for a director to settle script issues that the Broccolis might have, then you start thinking, is Daniel Craig going to be back as Bond, or are they just going to go ahead and get the train rolling for the next James Bond to come in? Then you go to Rian Johnson's side of things. This trilogy that he's doing, the announced trilogy that had come out, the news broke before a lot of people saw The Last Jedi, and so we thought we were getting this Rian Johnson trilogy, and all of a sudden all the controversy ensues. We don't know if we're getting one anymore, but it still seems on track as of right now.
Yeah, well, he tweeted about it to a fan on Twitter. He responded back, yep, still working on it. This was recent, the last few days. I mentioned it or put it in the notes for Jedi Council. So Rian is still working on it with his producer. They're still working on this stuff, but this is an interesting time or window to take advantage of for him to slide in a film for Daniel Craig. And this sounds like he's creating a franchise here himself because he compared it to Poirot. He wanted to be an American Poirot. I happened to be watching Murder on the Orient Express again this weekend. It's showing on HBO. Watched about an hour of it. I really enjoy the movie. It's not great, but it's fun to see Branagh do that. So if you're going to do an American version of that, Daniel Craig's interesting considering he's British, but him doing an American Poirot is kind of an interesting thing to play with. And how would he go about this? And this doesn't sound like a one-off if he's going to compare it to Poirot, because obviously Poirot was the star of multiple books. So this would be fun to see what they can create. I like Rian going back to kind of his a more independent roots, smaller roots in this way. This doesn't sound like it's going to be a blockbuster like Star Wars. And honestly, in my opinion, I wish he'd walk away from it. I wish he'd go back and doing what he's great at in these smaller independent films or like smaller subject films, because people killed The Last Jedi, and whatever your opinion on it is, I didn't think it deserved the hate that it got, but I understand why people were upset about it. That being said, I think Rian deserves to do this kind of stuff and enjoy himself doing this kind of stuff and have people laud him for doing this kind of stuff and bringing his unique taste to, or unique take on these kinds of stories. And like you said, Brick is great. Looper is phenomenal. And so if he can do that with this, I'd be happy.
Well, there's a lot of people that would say, hey, well, I want to see what Rian Johnson can do in a Star Wars universe that isn't so intrinsically involved with the Star Wars lore we already know. Because the big issue a lot of people have with The Last Jedi was the way the Skywalkers were treated during the movie, amongst others. I know there's a lot of gripes. You don't have to list them. I read them at the time. I'm saying that I think that Rian Johnson can do an independent feeling version of a Star Wars movie that's going to be in a different corner of the galaxy. That's what it had been described as. Dennis, do you think that it's possible to do a film like a Rian Johnson movie that is in the Star Wars world, or do you think the Star Wars name brand just brings too much pressure?
No, I think especially because it isn't tied to anything that's going on right now, he'll have more freedom. Though I do know it's weird because kind of the tone that he had for The Last Jedi was different than the movies he had done before, like Looper and Brick. And so I'm wondering if he's going to go back to that kind of more indie, more serious feel, or he's going to keep kind of more of the jokey stuff they had going on in The Last Jedi. But I just like how he wrote this script over the summer, you know? Like summer vacation, he just like, I'm just going to pump out this thing. You know, people that are in the business, they spend like years honing and crafting a script and then to hopefully maybe get it made. But, it's cool that he can get one that's going to be bidded on.
Yeah, I just thought that was so great to hear that he just, this summer, a lot of people, whatever you think of that movie, of The Last Jedi, the hate and the criticism that he received on social media from all these sources, it can be very overwhelming. So it's nice to hear this guy is just such an artist at heart and that you can just turn off the Twitter machine. When I sit down to write jokes, I'm doing it for 20 minutes, and I'm like, all right, let's see what happened on Twitter.
I've seen this happen.
It's very hard to ignore all that noise. Yeah. So the fact that he was able to do it and focus on a script that suddenly is going to have a bidding war in Toronto Film Festival, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, agreed. Some artists are driven to create. Some artists are just driven to create, and they can tune the noise out. Like you said, I watched Mark Ellis create jokes in New York over 45 minutes, sitting over bagels in the Continental Breakfast at whatever hotel we were staying at. It was pretty incredible.
Holiday Inn Express.
Everyone else is bustling around. Here's Mark with his notebook, still writing because he's 95 years old, still writing his jokes out, and I respected that. But that's the thing. And so, like John Hughes wrote 16 Candles in 2 weeks or over a weekend. Some people just can do it. They just have the facility to do it. Doesn't mean it's better or worse than someone who takes 2 years to write their script. It's just how it is. But I put this idea of can he do his style of Star Wars. That's what a Star Wars stories were supposed to be. And they all tried to do their own version of Star Wars, but the powers that be still got involved, still replaced directors, still brought in other writers. So I don't think he can do it with this kind of micromanaging that's going on with the Star Wars franchise from the people above and down. And I understand why, because they want to protect their baby. I get it, but I don't know if Rian will have the kind of freedom that he could have when he's doing his own thing for a studio that understands what he can do and leaves him alone. So that's what concerns me, because the Star Wars stories were supposed to be these independent features that were supposed to show you a different way to look at Star Wars. And although Rogue One is great, in my opinion, Solo, a Star Wars story, obviously didn't get there, and there were issues with that as well. So I just wonder if Rian will ever be left alone to do what he wants to do in Star Wars.
Just nice to know the artistic spirit always burns bright, as does our desire to give you more content. And that's why we can talk about For Your Consideration. It officially launched today. These are going to be little mini episodes that talk about upcoming movies that you may want to look at if you're going to be winning your Oscar pool come February. You guys can check all of that out. We're going to have a new episode tomorrow as well as Thursday. And we're going to be having a bunch of the Toronto International Film Festival coverage right here at Collider Video as well as Collider Quick. Check out all of our Collider stations that you can currently subscribe to on YouTube. You got Collider Sports, Collider Quick, Collider Games, and the Wrestling Sheet, as you can right here with Collider Video. Also, check out a new Witching Hour and a new Premier League. So you guys are talking soccer. That's you and Jack Hine, John Rowe.
Me and Jack Hine, we covered it. We actually recorded today. We covered the Match Day 4, the Premier League, recapping all the matches that happened over the weekend, who stood out, who didn't stand out, and what teams look like they're going to finish in the top 5 this early in the season, which teams look like they're going to be relegated. We also did a Champions League preview for those of you who are into the Champions League. We did that last week before we went on our holiday break and put that up, thanks to Dennis who edited it and put in the images and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you haven't caught that, and it's all on the Collider Sports YouTube page, and you can find it soon on the Collider Sports iTunes feed, because we're moving all this stuff off factory onto the Collider Sports iTunes feed, and you can have all the exclusive content there.
We also have another show coming out today.
We have a show coming out today, yeah.
You
take that one.
Yeah, we're doing a brand new show for Collider Sports. It's the MMA Takedown that Rocha is going to be a part of, and Jay Williams from Collider Afterthoughts is going to be on later today. Also, the fantasy draft that you guys did win up on Collider Sports.
Okay. Enough sports talk around here. We're getting back to movies, damn it. And now we're going to talk about a movie we haven't seen, but there's a huge controversy brewing over it, and that would be First Man. The film has screened at some film festivals, including Venice, and tell you right, it's going to be playing at TIFF next week. But there's already a stir going on about whether the American flag is in the movie, if Neil Armstrong puts it on the moon, if we get to see that iconic image, if we just see it from a distance. Is the American flag in the movie First Man enough? And to all this controversy that's been stirred up, early reactions talked about how Chazelle has unique visual style and all this stuff. And then there's an article that came out and somebody said, oh, this is just so unpatriotic. How could you possibly do that? Ruin the movie. And to that I say, how about we all get a chance to see the movie? Like, I didn't report on this last week in this way because I had heard what the controversy was. And so I noted at the time last week that, hey, there's some things that the way events are portrayed at the end, I'm curious to see how pro-America it is. That's what I said, because it was a huge thing. The space race was a huge thing as far back as the early 60s. And even before that, you had Kennedy running on a speech saying, oh, we're gonna go to the moon. We're gonna be the first ones to land on the moon. We're gonna beat the Russians. And that was a huge issue. So getting that flag on the moon was no small feat. However, if this movie is not about the space race and it's about the personal story of Ryan Gosling playing Neil Armstrong and all the tragedy that man endured and all the pressure that he and his fellow astronauts had to go through, I don't know that it is necessary. But again, listen to me, Babylon, like somebody who's seen the movie. You haven't seen the movie, don't have an opinion about something that may or may not exist. Neil Armstrong's sons came to the defense of Damien Chazelle, the filmmaker, as did the man who wrote the book upon which this film is partially based. That would be, get the guy's name here in just a minute. That would be James R. Hansen. So it seems like much ado about nothing, and people just want a reason to scream and shout. Dennis, how do you see this?
Yeah, I see it the exact same way. It's like you haven't seen the movie yet. How do you have an opinion? You heard some kind of version of what happens. In the reports, they said the American flag is still there and it's seen multiple times through the movie. It's just, I think just that shot of him planting it may not be in there. And if they're telling from his perspective and they don't include that, it sounds like more of a artistic or creative choice than some sort of political statement. I think a lot of people love to rush out there and get offended by things. I remember when Selma came out, before it even came out, you could go to IMDb and see how many F votes it had. Zeros. You haven't seen the movie. And there was a lot of comments that this movie's this movie. Really? Because you haven't seen it yet, because it hasn't come out yet.
You haven't seen it, Rocha. If I can be fair to every Transformers movies that come out and say, hey, I'm excited to see these, and I'm not even going to listen to other critics until I get a chance to watch it. This is something that it's disappointing on a number of fronts. Because whatever you want to feel once you see the movie is fair game, but to do something like this, I know it's not a spoiler, because the thing happened and we all know the ending of the movie, like in that regard, but I don't tell me this stuff.
Yeah, when I read all this, I felt like that Justin Timberlake meme when he's just like, like that's what it feels like to me, because it's ridiculous, you know? No one's seen a lot of people haven't seen the movie, only like its early press screenings, obviously just premiered. So, okay, he doesn't plant the flag, but apparently you see the flag many times throughout the movie. And Ryan Gosling's answer is all you need. What he said, this is not about anything other than the exploration of the man and what he went through to try to be the person or be in this position, and everything, and there were deaths and everything that was involved. It's not a rah-rah movie, and I hate to break it to you, but we as a society are way past rah-rah-rah movies. We're about internal exploration. That's what drags us to movie theaters now, to see these movies. Yeah, we have Crazy Rich Asians, fun romantic comedy, but even that is an exploration of a culture and how that affects someone. So we look for deeper movies when it comes to this kind of subject material. And so something like First Man this is the reason. Actually, it's so funny because all the reasons that this person was listing, whoever saw it and was complaining about it, is listing for the reasons not to go see the movie, are the reasons why I want to go see the movie. Because it's not the space race movie. It's an exploration of the human cost and the sacrifices that these people look like they go through in the movie in order to achieve this thing? And and they're being true to who Neil Armstrong was. And if you read what his quotes are about it, he's a very humble guy, didn't want attention brought to himself, he did everything he could not to bring attention to himself. That it was about everyone else involved getting him up on that moon for him to have that moment and say what he said. One small step for man, one giant step for mankind. Not American kind, mankind. And that's what matters here. It's about the whole world, what they were able to do, what they were able to explore. It wasn't about stamping a flag and being it wasn't any of that. And so I'm sorry it doesn't fit into your narrative of what you want to push, but it's about something bigger than you, than your patriotism. It's about something bigger. And that's what's so fantastic about what I'm already seeing from the trailers of the film. Well, like Mark Ellis said, I haven't seen it, but just from the trailers, this is what excites me.
And that's a veteran, folks. Actually, been overseas defending our freedom. This just in, apparently Neil Armstrong, the movie, is sponsored by Nike. We move on to our next story, and that would be the new trailer for The Favorite has just hit the interwebs, and this is being pitched as a dark comedy, and it does look like an actual lot of fun. It's based on the killing of the sacred deer and the lobster. Filmmaker Yorgos Lanthimos made it. It's in 18th century England, and this is when the frail Queen Anne has a quiet life at home. She's not doing too much, not feeling too well, so one of her trusted assistants and friends, played by Rachel Weisz, kind of helps make decisions for her. And then when Abigail, played by Emma Stone, comes into the picture, now who is the favorite of the Queen? Who's the Queen listening to? Who's getting favor curried towards them? And it does look like it gets a little tinge of darkness, but you get a lot of laughs in this too. So looks like a pretty fun movie. It comes out on November 23rd in UK theaters. That's in United States theaters. And then it doesn't hit the UK until January 1st. It is worldwide in January, so they're releasing it early here, probably to garner some of that Oscar consideration. John Rocha, you saw the trailer. Daniel Craig's going to be doing an American accent in movies. Yeah. About time we had Emma Stone do a British accent.
No one planted an English flag. What's the point of this? I mean, what the crap? Here's the deal. I wanted to like this trailer, but I don't know if these movies work for me anyway. Look, I liked The Lobster. I thought that was, and Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz were both in The Lobster, so it's nice to see them come together for this director again. Killing of a Sacred Deer, that was a chore to get through. I just did not like that movie. So I wonder, this has vibes of Love and Friendship. If you remember that Kate Beckinsale film from last year or a year and a half ago, everybody seemed to love that film. I watched it and I was completely bored by it. And I love British films. I love British television. This struck me a little like, I don't know if I got what I wanted out of this that I was hoping to get. Olivia Colman is very funny in the trailer, but I don't know if I buy Emma Stone. So it just didn't, her accent didn't feel as authentic as I've heard other American people do their accent. So for me, it just took me out of it a little bit. But that being said, there seem to be some fun moments, some fun back and forth here. I'll wait for a second trailer to see if I get what I need out of it. But right now, I'm a little more like, but we'll see.
Dennis, what was your takeaway? You like the back and forth? Does this movie all hinge on Emma Stone's quality of accent?
I don't think it hinges on that. Actually, I saw this right before I watched Juliet Naked, that indie rom-com that Ethan Hawke's in yesterday, and they played this trailer in front of it. And I was wondering what it was at first. And I know that Olivia Colman's going to play the Queen in The Crown. The Crown. She plays a queen in this one. I liked it. I quite enjoyed it. I like the back and forth. I like the kind of dark comedy to it. I'm not over thrilled about the title. The Favorite. It sounds like something that would be in like, I don't know, some sort of teen movie or something like that. It doesn't lend itself, but I like that dynamic though between Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone and how they're going to be fighting back and forth, trying to win favor with the Queen.
Yeah, I think it looks interesting. So it comes out November 23rd here in the United States, January everywhere else. Before we get to our last story, I want to remind you guys, we'll save some time for your live Twitter questions. So go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video and use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. Pick our brains, ask anything about the topics we've already discussed, something else in the world of movies, or if you want to ask, how are those new Fruit Loop donuts at Carl's Jr.? Haven't tried them yet, but I'm going to pick them up soon. I hear good things.
What?
There are Fruit Loop donuts at Carl's Jr. Don't know how long they're around, so rush out there and grab them. Well, our last topic today is another trailer. It comes from Paul Greengrass, and the movie is called 22 July, and that harkens to the deadliest terrorist attack in Norway history. 77 lives were lost when it was all told. A far-right extremist detonated a car bomb in Oslo before carrying out a mass shooting at a teen leadership camp. This movie, obviously directed by Paul Greengrass, features a primarily Norwegian cast, and the film opens both on Netflix and in select theaters on October 10th, and Paul Greengrass knows how to shoot a style of action like this, and if you have such a harrowing true story, Dennis, you see this and you feel the emotion and how Norway had to come to grips with this event and how to do their best to prevent these kind of events going forward.
Yeah, I actually didn't know this movie was coming out. I didn't know it was going to be a Netflix film. Paul Greengrass, he did United 93, which the year that it came out, it was one of my favorite movies, very powerful movie. And it, like I said, I think I mentioned before, that movie and hopefully this movie, it felt more like a recreation shot, like documentary style versus trying to, create new characters or try and, do something where it's like, okay, we're going to have this person have this subplot and all this drama. It's like, it feels like it's more real to the true story, and hoping that they can do that, because I know with United 93 they use there's some of them were actors, but some of them weren't, and I'm wondering if this is the same thing.
Rocha, what did you glean from this trailer? Does this feel like a Netflix movie to you? Does it feel like a different step for Netflix?
Yeah, it feels like a different step for Netflix. It feels to me like a really damn good film that evokes what he did with United 93, but also with Bloody Sunday. If you ever seen Bloody Sunday, which is his chronicle of what occurred in 1972 between the Northern Irish and the British troops, and the British troops massacring the Northern Ireland people during that because of what was going on with what they call the Troubles. His exploration of that was harrowing and unsettling. And a film came out recently, 71. That's another one that I think that did that as well. But his version of it was so powerful, and it showed all the different sides, all the things that were happening, like you saw in United 3. We had the air traffic controllers, the people on the ground, we had the people in the plane, we had the people going, the families at home. We had all kinds of things that were being highlighted, and this film looks like it's doing that as well. I'm glad it's getting a theatrical release. It should get a theatrical release. It looks incredible. I wonder if it qualifies under is it a foreign film, or is it a regular film to be nominated for Oscar for Best Picture? I don't know, but it certainly has that vibe that's possible. Just that opening scene with the guy walking, the explosion of the bomb, and then the guy walking up, and of course this story is about this. It seems like this guy is going to confront this dude in the trial, which was in 2011, about what happened and what their connection was, because this guy tried to put the entire country of Norway on trial. And so the fact that you're getting not just the bombing, not just the explosion, you're getting the aftermath as well, that tells you the scope that Greengrass is going for in this movie. And for me, I was left just completely shaken by it and excited to see this movie and put myself through it.
All right, we want to remind you guys that we have a new podcast, The Rule of Two. You're going to get a new episode of that tomorrow, as is right here on Collider, a video, new episode of Collider Heroes. Make sure you guys also check out how you can get tickets for the movie Trivia Schmoedown. It's going to be live this Saturday, September 8th. Rocha, you have anything to do with that?
Hell yeah! We coming for you, Stacy and Winston. That's right, the Outlaw and the great one, the greatest one, Dan Murrell. The Horsemen coming together September 8th. Come and see us do that great stuff. Plus, Mara Knopik taking on Jason Heyman for the Inner Geekdom Championship. Another Horseman. We are going to rule the night. Come watch us have a little fun, do a meet and greet afterwards. Meet this guy. I'm sure you'll get to meet this guy.
Thank you. Yeah. Is it two great matchups, Dennis? Yeah. You know who else is showing up? You know who else is flying in from Toronto?
Flying in from Toronto.
One night. Do you know what I do right after the match?
Get back
on a plane, and I go back, and hopefully somebody can give me a ride to the airport. Sorry I shouted, kids. Looking forward to it. 7 p.m. is when it kicks off. You guys can get tickets at schmoedownlive.com, or you can just go to my website, markellislive.com, pick up your tickets before it sells out. I think we got like 20, 25 left, so grab them now. Do not sleep on this. All right, I promised you live Twitter questions, and by golly, we're going to give them to you right here. The first one comes from Mike Killmonger, and Mike Killmonger says, I miss buy or sell. Could you all throw it out there every now and again? You got it, Mike. I buy that, and here you go. John Ashford. He says, especially for Rocha, do you think there's a chance Marvel could do some of their Western comics? So I will, in honor of Mike's question, I will say, do you buy or sell Marvel doing some of their Western comics as films? Looking at like the Rawhide Kid. Do you know exactly what he's talking about?
Yes, but
I mean, John Ashford clearly put you. He knew Dennis and I knew very little about Marvel Western comics, so the spotlight is all yours. Give us your solo.
I sell it because I don't think Marvel has the people in place to do it effectively in a way that you want to evoke the Western aspects of the Marvel comics when they go into these characters. Because there's a lot more darkness, a lot more of a harsh environment than Marvel is used to. You know, they'll throw jokes into all the MCU movies, so I would be shocked if they would do this. Now, that being said, if the Disney-Fox merger happens, some of those Fox people who created Logan come into this situation, and Deadpool come in on this side of the fence with Disney and Marvel, then yes, I absolutely buy that possibility. But I think it all, in my opinion, depends on the merger.
Okay, Dennis, Marvel, Western comics?
Yeah, I don't see it happening just because, like Rocha said, they're looking for a darker, more mature story. And, you know, the MCU can get to a certain place, but they're not going to take it to where Logan went. I mean, Logan was essentially a Western, but it was just, you know, using superhero characters.
Yeah.
I don't see Disney doing that. And the MCU is already a profitable, you know, money-making machine for them. Why rock the boat? I know they want to venture and take some of these superhero movies into different directions. I just don't think they're going to go into the Western, which, you know, when was the last like super profitable Western?
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Yeah,
Westerns, even though I know you like them, I like them, but you know, it just they're usually indie stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how you have to sell it, is sell it as a Western, not the next big comic book movie. I think Jonah Hex might have made that mistake.
Oh, my God, that was terrible.
You just, like, this is a Western. It happens to be based on source material that originates from Marvel Comics, but this is a Western, so make it feel like it's 3:10 to Yuma or Appaloosa or something like that, where it's a Western movie first and foremost. It just happens to be based on a comic book, a lot like how Logan felt. Ethan Hawke, come on, man, watch the movie, think you're going to like it. Him and I are dear friends. Right? Remember me? Interviewed one time? Our next question. Go to Dale White. And Dale White says, if you could host Turner Classic Movies for a night, what 3 movies would you share with us?
Ooh,
we all get to walk in Alicia Malone's shoes and
like like classics. How old? I mean, there's certain movies that you can consider classics.
I will put a cap on this, and I will say it's Turner Classic Movies. And I know
so it's
here at the Schmoedown, we consider movies like Back to the Future or Die Hard classic movies. For Turner Classic Movies, by the way, those are classic movies. For this particular question, it has to predate the year 1970.
1970.
Yeah.
So that means
you can go to the
Godfather's
60s
out.
And back. Godfather is forbidden. You kids with your modern gangster movies.
I'm going to take one of Dennis's, that's for sure. I would say Citizen Kane, Lawrence of Arabia, and Singing in the Rain.
Going chalk.
Yeah.
All right.
Did they want unusual choices? I didn't know they wanted unusual choices. I got unusual choices if you want unusual
It's like
choices.
you're looking at the top 100 fantasy draft. Just good.
Yeah. I also would have done Lawrence of Arabia. I also would have done It Happened One Night, and then also North by Northwest.
Great
good
choice.
ones. Good ones.
I like that one.
I don't know how I'm going to top that. I think I got it in me. We're going to do The Hustler, starring Paul Newman. We're going to do Easy Rider, starring the undeniably great. You got your Peter Fonda, you got Dennis Hopper, Jack Nicholson in there. Great, great movie. Killer soundtrack. And to top it off, speaking of killer soundtracks, I'm going to play a Beatles movie. The Beatles Help. It's also going to be on my Turner Classic Movie selection.
Nice.
It's probably my favorite of the Beatles. Hard Day's Night is pretty good too.
Hard Day's Night is good.
Hard Day's Night, Yellow Submarine, like they're all enjoyable in their own way, but either Hard Day's Night or Help. Depends on how I'm feeling that day, and I'm not telling anybody to Turner Classic Movies ahead of time. You're just going to have them both ready. Chris Woodburn, C-Dub is up next, and he says, what's a film that you guys got sick of talking about because it took so long for the film to get off the ground and actually start filming? Well, Chris, I wish the Fox-Disney merger was a movie, because then I could say that. Fortunately, I can't, so who wants to take the
Crow
answer? There it is.
The Crow. I mean, it hasn't even started filming. That thing has been, we've been talking about that thing for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
It's a musical chairs of the directors and the lead actor. I don't even know where the hell it is right now.
Rocha, I hate to do this to you.
Yeah.
You cannot take The Crow now that Dennis has drafted it. Another movie you got sick of hearing about, and you just want the darn thing to get made.
To get made? I don't know. I don't have anything necessarily.
No, come on, man. You are John Steven Rocha. A lesser panelist, I would let get away with that.
Yeah.
I'd say, hey, okay, don't worry about it. You had an off day. Not you. You're training for the Schmoedown this week, and you need to have recall like that. What is a movie you got sick of talking about?
But that never got made, though, right?
No.
We're still in the process.
Because X-Men Dark Phoenix, I was so sick of hearing about. And you know what? It still hasn't been released. I'm so tired of hearing X-Men Dark Phoenix or New Mutants. Like, just stop talking. I don't want anything. Just drop it like Eminem dropped that album. Just drop it overnight without telling anybody, and then let it be out there. Because I'm so sick of talking about it. I'm so done with it all.
Well, the updates that I'm sick of giving. The one's for Top Gun 2. Just got that delayed, and it's like, because I got excited. Like with The Crow, I never really was thinking. There might have been one day in The Crow, the lineage of great Crow news that we've brought you here at Movie Talk, all the way as far back as the AMC days. You think, oh, this could happen, and then it just becomes The Boy That Cried Wolf. So, but Top Gun 2, that made it to the green light was, and then we were in production, and Tom Cruise was tweeting pictures, and it was all good, and now we got to wait another year for it. So hopefully it is for that, incredibly intense aerial combat sequences that we're developing, and not some sort of scriptish.
Can I give you a buy or sell?
You may.
From at the Rocha says, buy or sell. Do you think the reason Top Gun 2 was delayed is because Tom Cruise is finalizing the deal to become Green Lantern in the MCU? I mean, the DCU.
That was postulated by one of our live chat members last week. No, I don't know why that would delay filming though.
Because they're going to shoot it now. They're going to start in production now.
It feels like the DCU is still a little too a little shifty. To do something like that. But if you announce Tom Cruise as Green Lantern, Dennis, it certainly makes the DCU feel less shifty, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get someone of his caliber in that role, I assume he'd play Hal Jordan.
Yeah, he would play Hal.
Because he couldn't, he doesn't fit Guy Gardner or
not at all.
Yeah. So no, I don't think it has anything with Green Lantern.
Okay. So we think it was possibly the director or whatever, like we were speculating about last week.
Okay. Rattan Moody's up next, and he says, with Ellis, Perry, Snyder, and Scott Mantz going to TIFF, which awards contender are you most excited for? For Rattan, he's going to say Roma. And then he also wants to know if there's going to be a meet and greet for the Collider crew. Don't know that yet. Looking to maybe do a pop-in date at a stand-up club. Keep you posted. Stay tuned to social media for all those announcements. In the meantime, Roma, pretty good bar to set. Now, we were talking about on the Labor Day show our top 3 most anticipated. What do you see as far as awards contenders that you're really excited about, Rocha?
I think First Man and If Beale Street Could Talk. I think those two are the one that are going to come down to at the end. I've seen nothing this year, and I know I can throw in Black Panther possibly, but I've seen nothing this year that gets me feeling more like an Oscar movie, like the trailers for First Man and If Beale Street Could Talk, and Roma. I guess Roma as well. So we'll see how that comes to pass.
Yeah, I'm glad he said Black Panther, because when I reported that news earlier, the box office one, Black Panther also was number 1 3 weeks in a row. So that now it's 4 movies. It's Crazy Rich Asians, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, Avengers: Infinity War, and of course Black Panther. As I said that, I was thinking, wait, Black Panther opened last year? This year? We see a lot of movies around here. Dennis, awards contender that you have on your calendar?
I mean, the First Man, obviously. And then one I don't think is going to get much awards love, but I'm still looking forward to it. A Star is Born. I get sold on those trailers. I know some people may look at it and go, oh, Lady Gaga's in it or whatever, or Bradley Cooper's directing. It actually looks good to me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Apparently a review was released and then taken down because the embargo is still up, but it was like glowing review for Gaga as well for her performance. So you're not off base there.
All right, you guys don't think Robin Hood can sneak into the discussion?
How many movies of those have they made?
Of Robin Hood movies?
Yeah.
That should be a reverse question. What character do you never want to see on film?
Three Musketeers, Robin Hood.
Easy. I think there's still a good Three Musketeers down the road somewhere.
Did he just hit a personal note?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the Kiefer Sutherland and Oliver Platt?
I'm not gonna lie.
Chris O'Donnell
and Charlie Sheen. I'm not gonna lie. I like that.
And the Man in the Iron Mask.
I don't like Man in the Iron Mask. That was terrible. But I do have a special place in my heart for Disney's The Three Musketeers with Oliver Platt, Rebecca De Mornay. Who's Tim Curry as the mean Cardinal Richelieu. And I even watched the TV series that was on BBC America, The Musketeers.
And then Paul W.S. Anderson did like a was it like a steampunk version of it or something?
Horrific, man. Yeah, Orlando Bloom was was in that.
Yeah.
It was horrific, that film. Ray Stevenson and a couple other people were in that film that I know. So it was, yeah. But I think there's one more Three Musketeers. Good one.
Okay, you keep holding on to that dream, and one day we'll say that movie is one we're sick of talking about. Just get made already. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Collider Movie Talk. I'm on a plane up to Toronto. Going to try to pop into Movie Talk next week for a brief second. Then I go back out on the road overseas. So you're going to miss me on Movie Talk, or you may not miss me at all. Either way, continue to tune in for Movie Talk. It will be at its normally scheduled time each and every Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. And I want to thank my panelists. Return to glory for Mr. Dennis Tzeng in the house, and of course John Rocha, always a stalwart presence here around the Collider Movie Talk parts. And if I don't get a chance to see you again before Saturday, best of luck, my friend.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous.
Gonna need it. You can follow me on social media at Mark Ellis Live for all TIFF updates and other nonsense. Thank you guys for tuning in. Throw it to the wide. See y'all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.